Nigeria's ruling party, the All Progressives Congress, on Tuesday put out a statement through its handle on X, formerly known as Twitter, denying that its National Publicity Secretary, Felix Morka, ever said anything during a recent interview here on Arise News to threaten the life of former Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi. The former governor of Anambra State had, in a post titled, "Have I Really Crossed the Line?" shared on his X handle on Monday, alleged that Morka had issued threats following his criticism of President Bola Tinubu's administration in his New Year message. Well, earlier today, the APC spokesman was on the morning show here, this time to double down on his denial that he never issued any death threat.
You just played back the tape of the interview I had with this station, in which a very specific question was put to me. And the question, because when you play the tape, it's important for the viewers to understand the question I was responding to. I was not speaking in a vacuum. I was responding to a very specific question put to me during that interview by your colleague. And the question was this: you have hit back with a volley of attacks, calling Peter Obi a prophet of doom. Some of you have said he's always embarking on voodoo economics that are not in line with the current realities. Do you think this is a slingshot that has gone beyond normal politicking? Now, everything I said in my answer, including the last sentence which you referenced, was in direct and exclusive response to the reference to Peter Obi as a prophet of doom or as engaging in economics. So, in other words, my answer was, if Peter Obi was called a prophet of doom or was called a voodoo economist, he has it coming to him because he has crossed several lines of truth. End of story. End of story. There's nothing else to suggest in those words that I said in the moment of an interview that, saying Peter Obi has been, speaking a lot of, falsehood, quite frankly.
He says he has received death threats.
From who exactly?
Could it be that your statement, it was a form of incitement, to pro-Tinubu, pro-administration persons?
No. You see, he who alleges must prove. If Peter Obi says anyone threatened him, he must, beyond just saying, "I've been threatened," Peter Obi, I think he, for a man in his standing, he should adduce or, supply some evidence of those who threaten him. Because if anyone threatened Peter Obi, we shouldn't be having a conversation in your studio. The law enforcement system should be looking for those who threatened Peter Obi's life. So, but the point, I want to make two major points. One is that I, Felix Morka, did not threaten Peter Obi. Nothing I said in that interview begins to even suggest remotely that, Peter Obi, I was asking anything other than saying to the man who was asking me a question, he said, "You guys are calling him prophet of doom or, voodoo economists." And I said, well, you know what, if that is what it's called, he has, he deserves it because he's crossed the line of truth. Now, I don't know by what medium or by what, effort do you then transmogrify that conversation into a threat to Obi's life and the life of his family or those around him.
Oh, Nana Kazaure is a former spokesperson for the Labour Party. She joins us now to react to this development. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsday.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you for having me on your show.
Well, I'm sure you listened, to what the APC spokesperson Felix Morka had to say regarding the controversy over his alleged death threat towards Peter Obi. Is his explanation acceptable to you?
No, it's not. I thank you for replaying, how he disgracefully tried to say end of story, how he embarrassingly decided to gaslight Nigerians on his very tactless comments that he made on this very auspicious platform. It's quite sad that I guess he's looking for more work in Mr. Tinubu's cabinet, and so he's just going on and on. He's received more than enough airtime, and we need to move on from this. Mr. Felix Morka is the one that has crossed the line. I do not really understand why security operatives have not picked him up so that he can explain what he meant by whatever Mr. Peter Obi has coming to him. He should take it like that. I paraphrase, but we all get the crux and the gist of the matter. Mr. Felix Morka he's supposed to be thanking a man like Mr. Peter Obi, who's doing his job where he's too cowardly to speak to his party, to speak to the president about the situations that Nigerians are facing in this government with the reforms they have come up with. It's just clear that Mr. Morka is looking to be noticed. We have noticed him, and we have understood that he is, by his own words, a threat to Mr. Peter Obi. Like I said, he should rather thank Mr. Peter Obi for putting himself front and center. I have come to realize that the APC did not see a Mr. Peter Obi coming. They did not see an obedient movement coming. When he complains and gaslights Nigerians and complains about the movement to which I also belong, it's because Mr. Morka himself has taught those young people how to behave exactly like him. Every time he speaks, every time he vilifies, every time he tries to denigrate the person of Mr. Peter Obi and the obedient movement, he's actually describing himself. He's speaking about himself. We are not afraid. Who knows, I may not get home because I have said what I have said. But like Mr. Peter Obi said, if this be the end, then so be it. Nigerians should not be spoken to as less than human beings. Nigerians should not be treated as if they are animals. We are not in, we're not in a zoo. And for lack of a better word, I do not even want to go think about what someone like President Trump described Nigeria. When they say that Nigerians demarket Nigeria, Mr. Felix Morka is the first demarketer of Nigeria with such comments, with such careless talk. That's what I have to say to Mr. Morka. Thank you.
This discussion is not taken out of context, and you will be safe, because we do see a situation where there seems to be freedom of speech, but not so much freedom after speech in the Idi Amin way. But let's discuss the language and tonnage of communication from spokespersons of the ruling party. What does it signal about this political climate that we are currently in Nigeria?
It's as though they just want to be autocratic. It's as though they just want to kill what democracy stands for. It's as though they just want to, stifle every Nigerian that has a contrary opinion to theirs. I grew up in a home where we grew up with a lot of love, but we also had dissenting voices. And just because my voice is my opinion or my thought process differs from yours doesn't mean I'm your enemy. It doesn't mean that I hate you or that I dislike you. It just means that, on this God's green earth, we are all different. We cannot all be the same. And the APC is fast becoming a dictatorship. How does Mr. Morka think it's okay to say, rather than, it would have been more admirable if he just came, on air this morning and said, what, I was taken out of context, I apologize. Like I said, I don't know why security operatives haven't picked him up yet. They picked up Mr. Dr. Shehu Mahdi for alleging that they might be building, the government might be building a military base somewhere in Borno State. And he was picked up for questioning. Mr. Felix Morka has been given enough airtime in the media. Right now, I think he should be with the security operatives explaining why he made such a careless comment. Is he trying to tell us something? Is the APC or is the government planning something against His Excellency Peter Obi? This is a clear and present danger and worry for us. And it is wrong. Opposition is our fundamental human right. It is our right to speak. It is our right to ask questions. It is our right to put fire to their toes. It is our right to tell you where you are faulting. There are times that we go to visit internally displaced people. And so we've had people say to us, please, can you help us speak on the matter of the minimum wage? I have not received my minimum wage yet. I can barely feed my family. Where is it on this green earth, in this Nigeria, that somebody sits down, explains to you what the situations are, which you may or may not be aware of, and tells you, if I was in this position, this is what I would do. If the APC and if Mr. Felix Morka were being honest, they would have heard where Mr. Peter Obi, at the end of his press brief, said, referring to the president, he said, may God bless you, God bless Nigeria. Those are not the words of a person who hates the government or who doesn't want the government to do well. We want the government to do well, but it's clear that nobody is telling them where they're going wrong. It's clear that everybody in their circle is afraid to speak to them. We're not afraid. We will speak, and we will speak for the people of Nigeria. You know, I need to give Mr. Felix Morka a lesson, you know, in a patriotism 101, the simple basics. The office of the Nigerian citizen, that which you are, that which I am, that which everybody listening to my voice is. That should always precede anybody's political party, anybody's political ambition, anybody's president. The office of every single Nigerian from age 0 to 100 or whatever should always precede personal interests. I think Mr. Felix Morka needs to learn that. Like I said, simple, basic patriotism 101.
So how do we tone down the rhetoric, you know, and de-escalate tension, fear and anxiety, especially within the obedient camp, seeing as the APC spokesperson remains defiant that he never threatened Peter Obi?
Well, you know, I don't know if you're a mom, but one thing as a mother that I do know is that when we're strict with our children, for example, you want to discipline your child, the first thing the child does is the child runs back to you. So if Mr. Felix Morka was more sensitive, then he would have done what I said. I've already responded. A simple apology. It takes nothing from him. It instead makes him the bigger person. It shows that the office of the Nigerian citizen is important to Mr. Felix Morka. No,
whether or not what I'm saying you are part of clearly the apology is not coming.
That means he would have shown leadership.
Clearly the apology is not coming. Well, then so how do we move on from this?
That's fine. That's fine. I know that we'll move on from this. We are Nigerians. There will be something else that will come up. It's just that we won't forget. I think successive governments have been used to Nigerians forgetting. But now, with the advent of the internet, with the advent of the kind of youth that we have, we will not be forgetting. That's all.
And do you have?
We will just remember, and when it's time to go to the polls, we will take we'll take the necessary decisions. It's simple. Mr. Felix Morka has done what he wanted to do. He said what he wanted to say. He has refused to take responsibility, and that's fine. Well, he has shown us that he shouldn't have a place in leadership.
And do you have anything to say for the overarching APC, the ruling party of the day, who it seems has a spokesperson who is causing a bit of a skerfluffle at a time when possibly it's the new year? Things should probably be moving a little bit more peacefully. Do you have anything to say to the APC ruling party?
I'm looking forward to the time where they said they were going to reduce inflation to 15%. Like I said, we're holding them to their word. I'm looking forward to a time where a bag of rice is going to cost less than the minimum wage that has been proposed that people still don't receive. I'm looking for a time where a mudu of gari can go down to 300, 350, as opposed to 1,000, 1,001 and 1,002, depending on if it's white or red gari. I'm looking for a time where beans is going to cost less so that even, people can feed. I'm looking for a time, this is my message to the APC. We should see them doing much more than talking. 18 months, Nigerians have died needlessly. The pressure is too much. They should work towards easing the pressure, unnecessary pressure on Nigerians. If they have made wrong decisions, it's time to backtrack and begin to look, take forensic account of things that have happened. The APC has a lot of work to do. I don't envy them, honestly, but then, like you rightly pointed out, we don't need a Felix Morka to keep, rubbing insults onto the injuries of Nigerians. It's like there's an open wound and somebody decides to come and pour salt on it, or decides to pour, something more abrasive or acidic on it. It just has to stop. I wish the APC well, but then again, they need to rein in the people that they have put in leadership. They should speak to Nigerians properly. Another advice I want to give is there should be more conversations going on. They promised a government of national unity. So I would expect that the people who are in the opposition, and I've said it before, it's not our fault that I think it was this government, the margin they say they won with is about 36%. So you can see that there are more people in the opposition. So in a government of national unity is more important than a government of the national fabric that they went and printed some time ago. Right now, what they need to do is sit down with Nigerians, well-meaning Nigerians, sit down with everybody, hear them out, because you can't know it all, and clearly they don't have all the answers. Get people who have run for office in various capacities, bring them onto the drawing board, and let them begin to work together. Let Nigerians even see that unity, Let Nigerians even see it. Then it will even help us. It will be a cue to Nigerians to say, okay, you're not my enemy because you're from a totally different thought process, or you're from a totally different party, an ethnic group, or whatever it is. There's so much that one can say. I wonder if I even have enough time.
Now, amidst fears, fears and warnings of Nigeria sliding into a one-party state, what measures do you think can be taken to strengthen opposition parties, most of whom are experiencing one form of crisis or the other ahead of 2027, so as to at least be able to form a credible alternative to the ruling party?
It's just one simple phrase: electoral reforms. We should right now we should be working on electoral reforms, because it would seem as though what we have in place right now will always be against the opposition. And like Mr. Peter Obi rightfully said, it's a difficult and uphill task. But then we are not deterred, whether they threaten us or not. Do they have enough bullets to kill all of us? Do they have enough gas canisters to keep gassing us? The more they want to do away with us, the more some other people will come up. So electoral reforms is one place to start, and the APC themselves should get off their high horses and get ready to work. Reduce the cost of governance. There was a time I was really applauding when Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu actually said, the Orasanya report was going to be, but we've not heard anything about that. I was really looking forward to it, but instead I've seen him backpedal and even increase his cabinet even more. So you see, these are the issues that Nigerians are up against.
And looking back and moving forward, what lessons can be learned through this entire experience, especially for the Labour Party as it sets its sights for 2027?
Oh, we're working on all of that. We're working on all of that, and we're working on the inner wranglings that we have within our party, within, and there are things I will not be sharing because I'm not at liberty to share, and even some of the internal whatever, I'm not aware of them. But I do know that we're working, assiduously to make sure that our party comes together and we do the right thing, because Nigerians had a lot of hope. They still have a lot of hope in us, those of us in the obedient movement and the Labour Party, and we will not fail Nigerians, to the best of my knowledge. That's how I feel right now.
Well, former Labour Party spokesperson Nana Kazaure, thank you so much for joining us on Newsday.